So, lads, Kelsey Mitchell it seems like Kelsey Mitchell not exactly got called out, but it looks like she got called out by Stephanie White. And I mean this when I say this, like, Kelsey Mitchell, there are two versions of Kelsey Mitchell. There is a version of Kelsey Mitchell that is a star. There is a star version of Kelsey Mitchell, which is the Kelsey Mitchell we saw at times last night. Which is the Kelsey Mitchell we saw at the end of the game, as the Kelsey Mitchell we saw, ironically, whenever Ari McDonald was on the floor. There is a star version of Kelsey Mitchell, and there is a losing basketball player version of Kelsey Mitchell, which is what we saw when Colson was on the floor and when the other team when the Mystics were getting back into the game. That is what there is. There are two different versions of Kelsey Mitchell. And I remember I was like making a joke about certain players. And I said this a year ago. I said this about what you call it, about I was like the top 10 WNBA players, and I was like where I ranked them. Female Duncan, obviously Fee, Embiid when healthy with an apostrophe, Aja, championship whistle, Stewie, Conor McCaffrey's girlfriend. It was literally just like prime Ben Simmons, Alyssa Thomas, John Quell, Sabrina, Jackie Young, Neka, and Kalia Copper. But like I literally have describing sometimes Clay, sometimes Julian Newman. That is how I described Kelsey Mitchell. And I stand by that. If you don't know who Julian Newman is, watch Julian Newman's high school clips. Just watch Julian Newman's high school clips. And it is a genuinely accurate statement. She is sometimes Clay, sometimes Julian Newman. And I think every dribble past one that Kelsey Mitchell makes significantly lowers her chances of scoring. And I saw this clip from Clark Season on Twitter, and I did not realize like this is what Stephanie White has been talking about. And this is an interesting one. And the one thing I say is I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. Stephanie White's talked so much about she's talked about so many things only to have the team play the opposite way that she says. Like until we see otherwise, she's Ruben Amram. Until we see otherwise, she's still Ruben Amram.
Into that second quarter through the third quarter, it felt like you found an offensive groove that you guys maybe haven't been in as much since Caitlin went down. Is that the half-second basketball, the ball movement you're talking about that attributed to that stretch of play?
Yeah.
It wasn't even ball movement. It was literally was read and react. It was not this motion ball movement offense. I don't know why people are saying, oh, it's a half-second basketball. I'm like, there's a difference between ball movement and unselfish play and what she's talking about in the motion offense. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between ball movement in a read and react setting, which is like making the extra pass, finding the right shooter, but without any major structure and just trusting your players to make the correct reads, and a motion offense, which only works if every single player is the exact same level of play. And you've got two passing bigs and you need 5 passes on the floor to work a motion offense. Like the Minnesota Lynx run, like the Spurs did at their peak. You need 5 players to run a motion offense. Again, when it comes to the Warriors did as well, which is why Jaja Pachulia used to start at center. You need all passers. And unfortunately, the Fever don't have the team or the personnel to run a motion offense.
I mean, it is. We want to get to half second. I think we're still at 1 second. But, I don't know.
I don't care how long Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston have the ball in their hands. Let them make decisions. Let them make decisions. Yes, DeWanna Bonner, Lexi Hull, Natasha Howard. Natasha Howard should not touch the ball with more than 5 seconds to go on the shot clock. Let Natasha Howard shoot late shot clock post shots if nothing's on. That should be Natasha Howard's game. Let DeWanna Bonner, Lexi Hull, they have a half a second. Ari McDonald, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston should have as much time as they want with the ball in their hands because they make good decisions. I don't understand why the goal of this team is to get the ball out of the hands of the players that make good decisions and into the hands. Like, because even when the team wins doing the opposite, she's like, oh, we still kind of passing the ball. It's like, you want the ball, you want your finishers to finish, which are Kelsey Mitchell, DeWanna Bonner, Lexi Hull. You want them making quick decisions because the longer they have the ball, the more likely it is they make a bad decision. However, you've got when you've got Caitlin, Ari McDonald, and Aaliyah Boston, you don't want them. And that's the problem with having this system in a motion offense. When you only have a limited number of good decision makers, you put the ball in those decision makers' hands. It's as easy as that.
Realistically, when that gets to that point, but it's much more like that. Now, you get to get moving, you attack closeouts. If you have to dribble the ball more than 3 times, it's too much, right? Like you got to shoot it, drive it, or move it. And I thought we did that throughout the course of a good period in our second quarter and third quarter. So that's the challenge. That's the goal. We'll show them again what it looks like when we're really moving it, and then hopefully they can get a sense of what it feels like when you're in a rhythm. Oftentimes we say it's like making music, right? It's like a dance. It's a rhythm. It's all of those things.
I still think she's a fraud. But if you need to take more than 3 dribbles, how many players on this team took more than 3 dribbles? And by the way, if you're Caitlin Clark, dribble the ball as much as you want if you're Caitlin Clark. I mean that. If you are putting a dribble limit on the best decision maker in the entire league, and I stand by it. If you're like, oh, but turnovers. I'm sorry. If there's a pass that you can make 75% of the time, and if it works out, it's a layup, you make that pass 100% of the time. You risk the turnover for the guaranteed assist every time. You risk it for the guaranteed assist. But yeah, that is the thing. It is, and not one thing about playing fast, not one thing about running. Kelsey got the money, time to get coached. This is the offense. This is the offense I want to see. About time she said the tough part out loud about Kelsey. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you have to dribble 3 times, it's too much. You got to shoot it, drive, or move it. And that's the big problem with Kelsey Mitchell. As I say this, every dribble past 1, I don't have the stat, but I would assume that every dribble past 1, her shooting percentage drops 10%. That would be my theory, is that every dribble past 1, it drops 10%. Like off 1 dribble, it makes no difference because you can get to the basket. Maybe a second dribble, but like as soon as she starts taking 3, 4, 5 dribbles, I can't remember the last time Kelsey Mitchell hit a shot off 4 dribbles. I genuinely can't. Like she misses layups off 3, 4 dribbles. Everything. Absolutely everything with Kelsey Mitchell. The quicker decision she makes, the better she is. And the problem is that in a motion offense, she has to start making reads. And she's not. And when you make reads, you go to what's your natural instinct. And her natural instinct is to do some dumb shit. It is. And that is not a knock on Kelsey Mitchell. It's not saying she's a low IQ player. It's saying that I think she's a super high IQ cutter. She's a super high IQ in terms of reading off the ball, in terms of running. I think that it's not saying someone's instincts are bad is not saying they're a dumb player. But Kelsey Mitchell has real bad instincts. And the problem is that Stephanie White's the offensive system she wants players to have to rely on their instincts. And there's only 3 players in this team I trust their instincts. And one of them is not even guaranteed in Ari McDonald. And without Ari McDonald, there's just 2 players. And in fairness, I trust Sophie Cunningham's instincts as well. They got 4 players that I'm cool with having the ball in their hand. I trust Sophie Cunningham's instincts as well. But like Ari, from what we've seen, Aaliyah, smart, highest IQ big in the W. And then you've got all of these players. You've got all these other players that are they're finishers. They're finishers. Even a Dantas is a finisher. Dantas wants to get her own shot. And you got to know your personnel. And that's the one issue I have with Stephanie White is that I like that she called her Kelsey Mitchell, but at what cost? At what cost? 3, 4 dribbles is too much. But I'm like, but you're the one whose offense is putting her into these situations. Like we saw last year under Christy Sides, until Sides started playing Sides ball in the playoffs, Kelsey Mitchell didn't have the ball in her hand that much, and she was unbelievable. So it is Stephanie White's system that has put her into this position. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.